Yeah, welcome to our second episode of the new West Cork League podcast. Myself and Mike Helen, PRO of the West Cork League, are here to take you through all the latest action and look ahead to what's coming up next weekend. Firstly, a big thank you to everybody who got back to us on the first episode, which is still available on the West Cork League's YouTube channel. Got a lot of positive feedback on that, and thanks very much. Hopefully we can bring you more of the same and even a little bit more in the coming weeks and months. Mike Helen joins me on the line. Mike, good to talk to you.
Hi Ger, how are things?
Another week, another busy week on the West Cork League scene, and yet again plenty of headlines to draw upon. I guess we'll start at the top, and that was in the Premier HighSpecCars.com Premier Division, where the big match of the day, I suppose, was at Cannon Crawley Park, where Drina Rangers, who only lost out in the title last year, having conceded a goal in the final minute to Dunmanway and missed out in the playoff, took on a team that beat them, a promoted team and a team that won 3 trophies, Doris. It finished 1-1, and you can read an extended match report in Thursday's Southern Star, this weekend Southern Star. I was there in person to report on that. A cracking game. Took a while to get going. A lot of good football from both teams, as you'd expect. Pitch was in good nick as well, which is always helpful. But surprisingly, at second yellow card, Doris were reduced down to 10 men following Ross Leahy sending off her second yellow card, and yet within about 7 or 8 minutes, Peter Thornton stole in at the near post to put them 1-0 up, and that kicked off a crazy final 10-15 minutes in which Drina, pretty quiet up till then, had a couple of half chances, finally woke up. Now, they were missing Keith Jago, who was suspended following the end of last season. Doris were down Stephen Shannon and Donald Casey, their goalkeeper, but they led 1-0. They were down a man, but Drina absolutely pummeled them, pumping balls into the box, to shooting from distance, trying everything. And then a breakaway, and unfortunately for Doris, Gavin Johnson was sent off, so they were down to 9 men following a breakaway and a 50-50 tackle. Drina managed to pull it out of the bag, a late goal from Jamie Walsh, probably deserved on their performance over the final 10-20 minutes, and the pressure they put on. They could have won it right at the death, but that equaliser from Jamie Walsh 3 minutes into injury time meant both teams in their first game of the season had to settle for a 1-1 draw. I guess, Mike, when you read the match report, when you hear that, it was pretty even Steven throughout. Are Doris happier coming away with a point, or are Drina Rangers just happy to avoid defeat?
What a start for Doris in the Premier Division, Ger. I think in the last podcast we spoke about how, you know, Doris was 2-0 in the Parkway Cup last season. They weren't going to be easy turned over today or yesterday. So a great start for Doris, but also a great start for Drina Rangers too. It's very important, you know, at the start of the league not to start with a loss. So, you know, it's a great point for Doris more than it's a great point for Drina, because Doris first year up in the Premier, very, very tough start for them away in Cannon Park. So I think Don Hurley, Ty DC and Ty Sullivan, they'll be happy. They'll be happy with the draw, they'll be happy with the point. I suppose on the Drina Rangers side, they have Jamie Walsh with the equaliser there in the 96th minute. Jamie Walsh is a leader for Drina. I think he was missing there for a couple of key games for Drina Rangers last year, so it's great for Drina to have Jamie Walsh back in action again. But no, a cracker for both teams really, and I think they'll be happy with the draw, both teams.
Yeah, as you said, like, you don't want to lose your first game, and they didn't play the previous weekend, so in fairness, both teams were a little rusty for a long part of it. But yeah, I think at the end of the season, that point for either team could prove very important. But sitting top of the table, Mike, sitting pretty with a maximum points after 2 games, are the newly amalgamated Clonakilty AFC and Clonakilty Town, a local derby with Lyre Rovers, their first home match of the season in Dara, and they came out on top. Yeah,
they came out on top, 2-1 winners. I suppose they're the dark horses for the league by many. But, you know, Lyre Rovers are a tough team under Tom Barry and Willie, and, you know, they were leading 1-0 with 80 minutes on the clock. And Dunmanway Town, or Clonakilty Town, came in the last 10 minutes and stole it with Jonathan Leahy and next Lyre Rovers there. So a big win for Clan at home. Lyre probably feel a bit, you know, hard done by. They were leading up to the 80th minute, but big win for Clan. Six out of six. Couldn't John Mosley couldn't have asked for a better start, really.
Yeah, I feel a bit. It's harsh on Lyre because they played particularly well against Toher the previous week and got a point, and after two good performances, they only have 1 point. But does that not just show you how tight this league is going to be this year?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, like I suppose if you looked at this fixture, you would have said with the strength in depth Clonakilty Town have that they would have turned over Lyre fairly easy. But as I said, with 80 minutes in the clock, it was 1-0 to Lyre. Did they run out of steam? Possibly so. But it just shows with Lyre, I know for a fact Lyre went to Clontown with key players missing. So once Lyre get their players back, and once they have a strong team, they'll be tough beaten. And just shows they're away in Clontown. It's not easy to go to Dara College to play a John Mousey Leahy's team. But it does. It shows it's going to be a tough league, and once Lyre get their players back, they'll be a tough team to play.
Yeah, and speaking of a tough league, directly behind Clonakilty Town in the standings, albeit after only 2 games, are Ballydehob and Toher, and two sides that I think you'd agree a lot of people, especially Toher Celtic, coming off the Beamish Cup success and the Michael Cronin Cup success, and your own Ballydehob, they played out a 1-1 draw. First of all, how does that result affect both teams' chances in the title race? I know it's very very early, and who's the happier after it?
I think Ballydehob will be the happiest with the result. Toher Celtic really dominated the game in the second half. They hit the bar in the first half. They missed the penalty in the second half. So they really applied massive pressure on Ballydehob. You got a great partnership in centre half with Kevin Cotter and Ian Crowley, very very solid, with Niall Hurley in the middle. They're a good team. So I think Ballydehob are happy with the draw. Are Toher happy with it? I don't think so. There's 2 out of 6 now, so they've dropped points already. But definitely, I knew this would be a tight game, and it was a real tough battle in Ratchervan. So I think Ballydehob probably the happier there. Yeah,
just on that, I think the fact that Ballydehob have managed to start the season on a positive. I mean, obviously you want to win your home games, but holding a team like Toher to a 1-1 draw, again, very very tough to break down. That defence that they have, you're right to make a point about the Toher defence. It was one of the reasons I think they won the Beamish Cup last year, especially in the cup final against Drina. They were excellent throughout. How important is it though that that Ballydehob keep that team together now, especially coming into the winter months?
Yeah, very important. I suppose with the Island Rovers and Gabriel Rangers still in Championship GA, Ballydehob had a fairly slack team out on Sunday, but I think no matter what team Ballydehob put out, they're going to be a tough team to beat, especially at home. And they proved that Ballydehob went with a more defensive unit against Toher Celtic because they rated Toher Celtic big time, Beamish Cup champions, and only barely hung on. But yeah, it's very important for Ballydehob now to keep the Mark Cronin there now. He scored again, and also Kevin Cotter. That's his second goal for Toher Celtic. He got one against Lyre as well for centre half, so he started off with a flyer. But it's very important for Ballydehob to keep the Mark going, and young players there like Sasha Wald and Donald Sullivan came into midfield as well. He had a great game, and so did Barry Bryan right back. So yeah, it's important for Ballydehob now to get their team back together and just keep driving on.
Right, so Clonakilty Town lead the way with maximum points after 2 rounds of games. Ballydehob and Toher close behind, and a lot to look forward to in the coming weeks. Before we look ahead to next weekend's fixtures, we're going to drop down a division to the O'Brien Water Services Championship. And Mike, what a start we've got on here, because everyone felt at the start of the year nobody could pick an outright winner, but a lot of people had favourites and teams that would be up near the top and challenging. And what do we have after 2 rounds of games? Only Kilbrittain Rovers, Spartak Musgrove and Riverside Athletic on maximum points. A 3-way tie at the top, and a striker we spoke about last week, Aaron O'Driscoll, doing the business for Riverside at home last weekend.
Yeah, I think Aaron is going to be a nightmare for most defenders in the championship, or even when they enter the Beamish Cup. I'd say he'll cause a lot of problems for even the Premier Division defenders. Unbelievable start to the O'Brien Water Services Championship. I think last week, week 1, there was 22 goals scored. Now this week there was 23 goals scored. So it's a goal fest at the moment. But yeah, Riverside had a very, very, very comprehensive win over Mizzen. With Aaron O'Driscoll, obviously the hitman for Riverside. So a brilliant start for Riverside. Couldn't ask for better.
And speaking of comprehensive, Kilbrittain Rovers announced their title intentions with a 5-0 win away from home at Oulton. Never an easy place to get a point from, let alone a victory. Smashing win for Kilbrittain and keeps that team's positive start going.
Yeah, we spoke about Kilbrittain last week, that they were flying under the radar fairly well, but they're top of the league now, and they've scored 5 goals away to Alta Celtic. They're a tough team. You know, if you look back last season, they scored 31 goals last season, and they obviously don't have any problem scoring goals this year either, with 4-2 against Milan, 5-0 against Alta Celtic. If they can stop the goals going in the other end, there won't be many teams that'll be able to stop them, I think, Ger.
I agree with you there. And a team also up in the top at the start of the season are Spartak Musgrove. Now, I don't know about you, thought they might struggle at the moment considering Newcestown's involvement in the County Senior Football Championship, but they came up trumps again with a 2-0 win at home to Drina Rangers. Dennis Fahy and Barry Horgan getting the goals, and Spartak are playing well by all accounts, going unbeaten your first 2 matches for a team that's not at full strength. That's an ominous sign for the rest of the teams in the championship.
Yeah, superb start for Spartak, as you said, with the GA still rolling very strong in Newcestown. That was a tough game at home now against Drina B, and Drina B put up them for a lot of the game, but a fantastic win. They're only going to get stronger. I'd say, you know, they go to Skibbereen next week. You know, they're just going to get stronger as they go. Now Kilbrittain and Spartak are the teams, and Riverside now maximum points. So as Spartak move on, they're going to get stronger. Can someone stop them? I don't know, remains to be seen. It'll be interesting to see how they get on all the way next week.
Indeed it will. And looking further down the championship table, even though some teams are struggling to put points on the board, loads of goals like you said earlier on. The Baltimore Road had a derby between the Crabs and Skibbereen AFC. Baltimore and Skibbereen drawing 3-3. 2 teams packed with attacking talent there, and no surprise to see that amount of goals going in.
No, Ger, and it was an absolute unbelievable game in Skibbereen. It was actually 3-0 to Skibbereen until the 81st minute. Baltimore's Brian Minahan, he's right back. He scored a goal in the 81st, followed by Ronan Collins in the 84th, and Kieran Lynch levying it on the 87th. So it was an absolute thriller in the local derby inside the Skibbereen. Big point for Baltimore. As we all know, Skibbereen needed the 3 points. They lost last week against Riverside, so they'll have to go again. As I said, they have a tough one now next week against Spartak Musgrove, so they really needed the 3 points against Baltimore. But Baltimore, after showing teams that, you know, they won't give up, and they've got 4 out of 6, which is a great start for Baltimore.
Yeah, that's it. Goals galore between 2 very attack-minded teams. And elsewhere in the Championship division, we had 2 5-goal thrillers. Dunmanway Town B getting one over Castletown Celtic, winning 3-2 at home, and that was important for Dunmanway Town B, having lost their opening game. Yeah,
outstanding win for Dunmanway Town B. I didn't expect it, to be honest with you. I thought Castletown now, after the heavy defeat to their neighbour Spartak, would have went to Dunmanway now and would have got the 3 points, but that's a huge win for Dunmanway Town B. Huge win. And leaves Castletown in trouble. You know, if Castletown want to get into the top 6, they need to start picking up the points very, very soon.
And finally, Salan getting the better of Castleac again, 3-2. A Castleac team that's playing well by all accounts, but losing out to a Mikey Deneen brace and a Trevor Healy goal. A big win for that club as well, getting off the mark, getting them into mid-table and giving them a boost heading into the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, look, I know Castleac had, when they saw the league fixtures, they wanted 9 out of 9. They targeted the first 3 games. And I think Salan now will show teams that, you know, it's not going to be easy to travel up to Salan and get 3 points. Salan have a team that are very, very big and physical, and it won't be easy to win up in Salan. So Salan will pick up points at home, and they will prove to be very difficult even for the likes of Kilbrittain Rovers and Spartak going up to Salan. It'll be very interesting to see how they perform up there.
Yes, it will. Loads to look forward to. And just on that, let's have a quick check now on the fixtures coming up this weekend. On Sunday, September the 15th, in the Premier HighSpecCars.com Premier Division, the Dunmanway Town and Ballyhobbs game has been postponed, but league leaders Clonakilty Town take on Toher Celtic, Drina Rangers host Bunratty United, and Doris take on Lyre Rovers. Although all 3 games are 11 o'clock kickoffs. And is it fair to say, Mike, that Clonakilty Town Toher game is the pick of the bunch?
Oh yeah, 100%. Pick a bunch. That's going to be a tough game. Toher Celtic travelled to Ballyhob, as we just spoke. They were very, very, very strong, full strength out, and they'll be hard beaten. So it's a good test for Clontown. Clontown, got 2 goals in the last 10 minutes against Lyre. So it'll be a very, very interesting team. But definitely, that's definitely the fixture in the Premier Division next week.
Yeah, loads to look forward to there. And as well as that, in the O'Brien Water Services Championship, a full fixture list of games, starting with the Manway Town B hosting Salan, Skibbereen taking on Spartak Musgrove at the Baltimore Road. Both of those games are 11 o'clock kickoffs. Kilbrittain and Riverside meet at noon. Castleack take on Ulta Celtic at 2:30. Drina Rangers B welcome Castletown Celtic to Cannon Crowley Park at 2:30 as well. And finally, Mizzen and Baltimore meeting at the same time. And again, so much going on in that championship division, Mike, but I guess having 2 of the top 3 facing off against one another, something's going to have to give. Kilbrittain and Riverside, that should be a cracker.
That should be a cracker, yeah. Will it be goals galore? Will you see Aaron O'Driscoll scoring another hat-trick? We don't know. See the difference between Kilbrittain Rovers and Riverside is Kilbrittain have a number of scorers hitting the net. Riverside are relying on one at the moment. So, will Kilbrittain put a man marker on Riverside main man? It'll be interesting to see. I fancy Kilbrittain at home to take the 3 points. And if they do take the 3 points off Riverside, it'll be very hard to see them not pushing on for promotion this year.
Absolutely, and just on that, the other team that'll be watching that with interest are Spartak Musgrove. Obviously, they'll be hoping one of those teams slip up, but they won't have it easy away to Skibbereen, who now are desperate to get off the mark, having played well in their opening 2 games. Not an easy trip to the Baltimore Road for the joint league leaders.
Absolutely not, no. And with John Allen at the realm there in Skibbereen, he's building a young team, focusing on youth inside Skibbereen, and they've got some very nice players. One fell up front for Skibbereen, Jamie Horan. He's a young player, but he's one for the future. And it won't be easy for Spartak and Skib. Skibbereen were up 3-0 against Baltimore in the last 10 minutes, so they'll feel a bit upset about that, a bit undone. So they'll be going for the win. They'll be going for the win against Spartak, so that'll be interesting. Same with Mizzen. Mizzen no need to get off with a win at home at Baltimore. They've got a good enough record against Baltimore, so I could see Mizzen taking 3 points there as well.
Yep, loads to look forward to as ever. Full fixture list. You can find all the details on the West Cork League's official website. You can find the West Cork League on Facebook. Just search for West Cork League. They're on Twitter at West Cork League. And remember, in the press, every Tuesday in the Evening Echo, there's a full page of coverage, and every Thursday in the Southern Star, a full page again of all West Cork League action, review, preview, and a match report from that cracking game between Drina Rangers and Doris from last weekend. Aside from all of that, you can get all the information on the West Cork League website, and on YouTube. If you search for West Cork League, you'll get this podcast and a lot more. Mike, it's been another exciting week. Loads to look forward to again next weekend. They're coming thick and fast, but we wouldn't have it any other way.
Thanks, Ger.
See you, Mike. See you all next week. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon.